So this is not something I ever do. Definitely more normal for my wife to make a video and share with people. Sorry, I've been outside sitting on the porch trying to feel like a human being, not stuck in the house for 3 or 4 months, but that is my life right now. With that being said, I have seen so many things online or on television or just in conversation or hearing things my wife has read on social media about, you know, things that are happening in the United States. And I don't want to get into political conversations. I'm not a political person per se. I have values that I follow, and those don't line up with either political party that's in charge. I would have to call myself an independent more than anything. Raised a staunch Democrat and then became a staunch Republican, but never was on either of the extremes of those, just stood strong in my beliefs. But I find that neither party aligns with my values anymore. There's craziness on both sides, and so I don't want to make this a political conversation, but with so many of them going around, and my video work is horrible, so sorry for the shaking. But so many conversations going around, I just had to throw my own 2 cents in, and I never do that. But I think I have a unique view of the situation that some of the situations that people are talking about, because I know healthcare is one of the big conversations with Luigi Mangione and all the craziness with that situation. I know it's a little old now, but I kept my mouth shut during it. But all the executive orders, and I don't even begin to claim that I know them. I don't know a single one of them, haven't read one. I've seen some news breaks and looked in to see if they were valid or not, and can't tell you that I have much of a clue of what's happened since Trump's been in his administration has taken place. So it is what it is, and I don't have any control over that. But it's brought everybody's conversation into social network, I don't want to say that because the movie Social Network, but the social care system in the United States, whether it be insurance, healthcare, provided privately or through the government, whether it be Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, SSI. I don't know all the things. I don't want to sit here and name them all, but you know them all. Every government agency and every private agency that helps people when they need help. I think that I have a pretty unique view of that situation because I grew up in a healthcare family. All I knew my entire life was long-term care, or more commonly known as nursing homes. Literally my babysitter at a certain age ended up being me, being the activities helper and playing checkers and chess with people. And I remember in school, in Current American Problems, they were asking when I was like a junior in high school, when did you know about death? And people were naming it, in class when their grandma died or whatever happened, that a pet or whatever that made them realize death. And for me, I couldn't tell them when I learned, because my life was around caring for people when they were dying, and church. That's what I grew up in. I knew I had a strong basis in faith, and because of my parents and the life I grew up as a child. And then I also knew empathy and care for the elderly. And those two things have never left my life. I've always connected with older people. I love to sit and listen to them. I'm rabbit trailing off to something else, but I'm just giving a basis for my experience. My mother started as a CNA, but planned to be a nurse, but life threw her curveball, or she threw her own curveball, whatnot. I came on the scene a little early and changed mom and dad's plans. But with that being said, when I was 2, she became a CNA, and then worked her way up to an LPN, an assistant director of nursing, an RN, a director of nursing, and then on to work about pretty much most jobs that any RN could work. She worked in ICU. She worked as an emergency room charge nurse. She was med surge charge nurse for several years. She ended her career as a home health care, a hospice worker, not home health care. She did home health care as well. I think about the only thing she never did as a nurse was work in a doctor's office. So I had a vast experience growing up. Sorry for the length of this video, but there's just no short way to get to it. And if you know me, you know there's no short way for me to get anywhere. But with that being said, I grew up knowing a lot about healthcare, and I also heard the conversations in my home about what was going to happen in healthcare, and grew up hearing, and when I got in the workforce in healthcare, hearing about the baby boomers, and when the baby boomers hit the long-term care system especially, but also the hospitals, that it was going to be a traumatic event because we weren't prepared. And we're seeing that live out. We've been seeing that live out, and they didn't know that we would have a worldwide pandemic in the middle of it that even made it as exacerbated the entire situation. You know, there's hospitals going up everywhere, and eventually there'll probably be a lot of empty rooms in those once the baby boomers get by, because our generations aren't having as many children as they did then. But anyhow, that's neither here nor there. So I've learned all these things, heard my mom complain about our health care insurance, that she was a healthcare worker and our healthcare usually was crappy. It was hardly ever great. When I got into the healthcare system, I worked in a nursing home that was owned by a hospital, and the hospital had another company incorporated that ran their two nursing homes so that they could be another entity, so that they didn't have to provide those employees with the same benefits. So the very hospital I was admitted to was the hospital that employed me by proxy, but gave me a mini medical plan for free. It was so wonderful. It was for free. That cap was $5,000, and that was in 2003, somewhere in that time, 2003 to 2006. I don't want to go in and figure out all the dates because I didn't mean to make this video. So I almost lost my job for being admitted to that hospital as well, because I was out of my head and because of medications, couldn't call in to work. And my wife didn't even think about it because we're newlyweds still, just had a baby, not even married for 2 years. And here she is with her husband that doesn't know who he is or what's going on. Those are stories for another day. But ultimately, with all this, I understand the system. I could tell you so many more things that I do understand, having worked in it myself, having a dad who went on to work in the system and went to school to be a healthcare administrator, understand the money side of it. And I understand the people who work in it typically care about people, but the business side of it is all about money and it's all about profit. And that's why my dad ended his career working at the pork plant in Worthington, Indiana, and then the railroad as a contractor, not the good railroad job, but out pulling up and laying down new tracks by hand, mostly helping the machinery. So he chose jobs that were far less glamorous and paid way less, and we struggled financially because he didn't have in his heart the ability to take advantage of people financially, and he wouldn't do the job that he could have made a lot of money at. So I understand that part of the system, but I also have lived my entire adult life dealing with that healthcare system as well as the government healthcare system. And I don't have time. I'm already 8 minutes into this video. And if you've watched it this far, you really care about what I'm talking about. But I don't know how to make anything short. Maybe I'll come back and make another shorter one. But anyhow, I'm not going to go into all the details, but I've had insurance and been in the hospital. I've not had insurance and been in the hospital. I've had a job and I've lost a job because I was in the healthcare system and had no return to work date, and they had administratively terminated my employment. And the thing that saved me insurance-wise at that time was Obamacare. And I'm not a fan of Obamacare, or whatever you want to call it, whatever the proper name is for it. But the COBRA relief that was given at the beginning, but when he took over presidency, is what helped me maintain my insurance. And at that time, you had to have a gap of like 6 months to get reinsured through the government. And I was so sick, I needed immediate care. And really, at that situation, in that time, I was told was one of the times, if I hadn't have been as strong as I was physically and young as I was, I would have already been dead by the time I was getting treatment at the hospital. So I understand. I've had my entire colon taken out. I've had, I can't count them now, it's 9 or 10 surgeries, getting ready to have another major surgery. I have been gutted like a deer if you're from the country like me. And I'm about to be gutted like a deer again. and have everything move with my ostomy from one side to the other. And I'm currently waiting from October 10th when I went to the emergency room at IU Methodist and informed my doctors through the system at Methodist that I needed surgery, and I knew it. And my doctor was aware that it was coming. We both had a conversation about it about 6 months before that when it happens with these types of hernias, that it goes quick. So I was in a position where I could not return to work. I'm on short-term disability. By the time I have my surgery, it will be nearly long-term disability. I will have been off so long because my surgery is scheduled for March 5th. And I've been waiting for a major surgery that is desperately needed. And I'm off work because I can't work in the situation I'm in. And I'm in pain, and I have not gotten medications I needed because of the opioid crisis. I can't have pain medication very much at all. So I just have to deal with the pain. And I'm in severe pain sometimes, so much so that I have no choice but to even have taken an ambulance ride for the first time in my life from my home to the ER because I was in so much pain that I needed to be treated. And even the ER, my last ER visit at IU Methodist, the doctors that treated me there said, "This is ridiculous that you're waiting this long." I know that when my doctor sees me, he's going to say, "I'm so sorry, and this was ridiculous that you had to wait this long." But it's the healthcare system that exists right now. It's where we live and what's going on. So I understand it from every angle. What I want to say to people who think that Trump or Biden or anyone is going to go in, whoever would have been elected and whoever would want to mess with the social systems, the social security systems in the United States, there's nothing they could do to destroy them more than they're already destroyed. If you think that the churches need to do something to help people now because of things that are happening, and I've heard this from many people out there, the church needs to step up. Brothers and sisters, the church is all that stepped up in my entire life. When I had nothing, and the social system that was set up for me was set there for me, and the systems that I took advantage of that were available for me for a reason, for situations exactly like mine that were out of my control that I could not help. I want to work. I want to be at work right now. I am so bored, but I can't. So with that being said, that system failed me on every step of the way. That system failed me when I went to get unemployment, the one time I've ever done it in my entire life. And I had been off work for 15 months and I had administratively lost my job, but God had healed me of the disease I had, thank the Lord. But for 6 months, I'd been searching for a job and could not find one because it just so happened it's 2009. And if you were looking for a job in 2009, you know what the economy was like in the Great Recession. And finding a job when you had to put down honestly, you've been off work for 15 months with a health issue, no one was hiring me. It was a miracle I got the job I did when I got it. But when I applied for unemployment, I had been on insurance that I had paid for myself through work that was provided to me. It wasn't paid for me, but I chose because I had had health issues in the past to take advantage of that. And I paid for short-term disability and long-term disability every check out of my check as a young man because I knew through my health issues already, it was a possibility I'd need to use it. And because I prepared myself for that situation and used insurance that was available to me and was wise and made wise decisions. And my wife and I may have been looked at by people that we've not made wise decisions because of the calamity that's faced our life or the financial situations we've been in, but they've all been put in our life without our control. We've always had jobs. We've always provided for our needs as well as we could. But when you get so sick, you can't take care of things physically, and the things that you've set up to provide for yourself don't take care of you adequately. The government's not there to help you, and I'll tell you that right now, because they weren't then, they weren't during Reagan, they weren't during Bush, they weren't during Clinton, the next Bush, Obama, Trump, or Biden, or Trump now. And I hope they fix the system. It's so messed up. There's nothing they can do to ruin it. But with that being said, I was denied unemployment because my quarters, those 15 months, those quarters of income did not count towards my unemployment because I did not have an actual job. So I did not have enough money in the last 3 or 4 quarters, whatever they require. If you understand the system better than I do, you know. But I only tried it once, so I don't know it very well. But I was denied because I was wise and provided for myself. But now that money was gone and I couldn't get a job. And because I had provided for myself for 15 months with wisdom in preparation for a situation, I was reprimanded and I was not given any help. And I literally had zero income. Thankfully, we lived in a parsonage and we had $100 stipend. And that wasn't no fault of the church. The church was financially hit and God kept it open and God gave wisdom to the leadership there. And this is no slight on the church. If it hadn't been for them, we wouldn't be here. And there was a great couple who ran and still run a food pantry that helped provide the needs of us above and beyond what food stamps would. We had to use the system in a way because we had $100 a month. So we would take some of our food stamps and I would give it to my mom and she would use it for food and give me $300 or $400 cash so we could buy diapers. Because guess what? You don't get diapers from any assistance in the government whatsoever. But guess what that pantry does, that food pantry that my friends run? They get diapers. They give you gift cards to go and get diapers at Family Dollar or Dollar General. Or they go and take you and get it if they wonder if you might use it for things that aren't for the baby. And that's not because they don't hate people. It's because they love people and they want to take care of babies. With all that being said, I know what it's like to be taken care of by God and by the church and by the hands and feet of the Lord. And if you think that the church hasn't been doing it or needs to step up and do it, then maybe you need to check your heart or check your church's heart, because there's plenty of them out there that do. Because if it wasn't for many churches over these last 21 years of marriage to my wife, because basically 6 months into it were the beginning of my health issues and we've never went without them. I've went most of my adult life in 21 years. My vacation has been spent on hospital stays and made up for FMLA and been used to where my vacation was always the 24 hours that they couldn't take from you in the FMLA system. So I had 24 hours a year to take off, eight hours. If I worked that shift, it was 3 shifts. And try living 21 years with 3 shifts off. And usually I was using those other 3 shifts for a church event. So I haven't had a real vacation but once or twice in 21 years because of the healthcare system, because of the great help that the government's given to me. So if you think that the church needs to step up, your church needs to step up and you need to step up. And I'm not trying to call you a bad person. I'm calling you to the carpet. And God calls me to the carpet, and people call me to the carpet. Sometimes we need called to the carpet, folks. And that's what's wrong with our world today, is we won't call people to the carpet. We just let them be who they are and say whatever is. That sounds real smart, doesn't it? But I'm from the South, and I'll just say what I say, because Southern Indiana might as well be the South. So with that being said, it is what it is. I can't change it. I can pray, but I will say the truth when it needs to be said. And the truth is, the church, there is always a remnant that has been taking care of people and meeting the needs, because pure religion is to help the fatherless. Pure religion is to go to those who are imprisoned and to visit the hospitals and visit the sick. Pure religion is to meet the needs of the least and to meet the needs of the greatest. Pure religion is about what's in here, and it comes through here and through the feet and out of here. But the thing is, the Holy Spirit's a gentleman, and he doesn't scream at the top of the lungs about what he's doing. He doesn't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. He does it for him, not for him. So if you think the church isn't doing something, it's because you're seeing him instead of him. So let's pray that this system gets fixed. But until then, let's pray that the church is strengthened to be able to help those who are in need.